The freedom of speech, a fundamental human right. The freedom of speech is a principle that supports the freedom of an individual or community to express their opinions and ideas without fear of retaliation, censorship, or legal sanction. Freedom of expression is also included in this and is recognized as a human right. So basically, the freedom of speech is the concept that all people, regardless of their race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or societal class, should be allowed to express themselves freely across any medium, such as art, writing, social media, so things like blog posts, YouTube posts, all of these are protected. Free speech has always been a subject of debate among the human race for many centuries and can be traced all the way back to the ancient Greeks. The ancient Greeks pioneered free speech as a democratic principle. The ancient Greek word parthesia means free speech or to speak candidly. This is why a lot of our ideas and philosophies came from the Greeks. In the United States, the First Amendment was written on December 15th in the year 1791. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution is part of the United States Bill of Rights, which protects freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of assembly, freedom of press, and the right to petition. So there are some things that the First Amendment does not protect, such as true threats, obscene material, defamation, plagiarism, blackmail. It's important to remember that there's a difference between hate speech and free speech. That's why someone's right to say something is protected, but only within certain limits. Unfortunately, in today's current societal climate, many people believe that free speech should be controlled and limited by the government. An entire generation is being taught that individualism and freedom to express their own opinion is dangerous and should be stopped. Some universities have even banned students from expressing themselves through silent protests, petitions, or even peaceful sit-ins. It is my opinion that the freedom of speech is a fundamental human right, and it would be detrimental to our society as a whole if that right was taken away. The freedom of speech is a fundamental human right for many reasons. One of the main reasons is that it is one of the things that makes us human. One of the major differences between humans and animals is our ability to self-reflect and express our internal thoughts. These thoughts and expressions are what make human society what it is today. Like William Ruger said, free speech is central to our dignity as human beings, as well as to intellectual and material progress. It fosters a culture of vibrant debate and discussion in which people can challenge the status quo, fight injustice, and pursue happiness as they see fit.
Throughout history, there have been many periods in time which free speech was an essential part of the progression of our society. For example, although he was almost killed for expressing his theory of heliocentrism, Galileo's discovery led to many advancements in science and astronomy.
On June 15th, in the year 1215, King John signed the Magna Carta, which dictated that him and all future rulers of England would no longer be above the law. He did this after his people threatened him with rebellion and civil war. This decision dramatically influenced the future of the United Kingdom. On August 26, in the year 1920, the 19th Amendment finally gave women the right to vote after decades of organizing, protesting, and petitioning. It took these activists and reformers nearly 100 years to win that right, and the campaign was not easy. Although there were disagreements and struggles that threatened to cripple the movement more than once, thanks to the brave activists who used their freedom of speech to fight for their right to vote, on November 2nd of that year, more than 8 million women across the United States voted in elections for the first time. After decades of petitioning and protesting the courts, it was only 3 years ago that the Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage in all 50 states and required states to honor out-of-state same-sex marriage licenses. This is another example of how free speech has positively impacted society. Same-sex couples were also given many other rights and protections that had previously been denied to them. These rights and protections include hospital visitations, adoption rights, employment equality, and many more. These basic human rights were given to them because they utilized